Jira integration in a Gemba simply means that a circle can be configured to synchronize with a project in Jira. For this to happen, the Jira project needs to exist and an API user setup following the procedure described here. Now with all the preparation done, the circle can be configured from the Configuration tab with the following properties. The Jira project key. This is the unique identifier value of the Jira project to sync the Gemba circle with. It usually starts with an uppercase letter followed by one or more uppercase alphanumeric characters, and max length is 10 characters. For example, the Jira server URL. This is the URL that points to the Jira instance that this circle will be synced with. For example, the Jira server username, the dedicated username for the user in Jira that will be used by a Gemba to synchronize with the project in Jira, the same as was configured earlier, for example. Finally, the Jira server API token, the API token of the user given. For example, before proceeding, test the connection to the Jira project given above using the Refresh Config from Jira button. This will also load any missing configuration fields from Jira. The missing configuration fields include Jira status map. Map the possible Jira issue statuses with the corresponding Gemba states. This is necessary so as to be able to sync the state of a delegated Gemba story to the status of the corresponding Jira issue. As such, it is only allowed to have a single Jira status mapped to an Gemba state. Jira statuses are loaded automatically from Jira. The Jira type config. This section of the configuration shows the Jira issue type and what Gemba story type it is mapped to. If there are any compulsory fields for that Jira issue type that have to be set when creating in Jira, it will be listed to be configured. The configured compulsory fields will then be used as default values when creating the issue in Jira. A label can optionally be set to be used for label issues created in Jira from a Gemba. Fill in all the necessary fields and proceed to save. The circle will now be ready to sync with the given Jira project. Some of the configured Jira properties on a circle in a Gemba can be updated or changed. More specifically, Jira server username, Jira server API token, Jira status map, and the compulsory fields under the Jira type config. The other properties, that is, Jira project key and Jira server URL, cannot be changed or updated once set. Once the circle in which a story resides has been successfully synced with a Jira project, it will be possible to delegate that story to that Jira project. Delegation to Jira can be done from the Stories menu in a Gemba. Delegating an Gemba story to Jira will result in the creation of a Jira issue with a similar title and description composing of a merge of the user story and detailed description in Jira. Editing of the Gemba story will consequently be restricted and its state will be in sync with that of the corresponding Jira issue. Information about the Jira issue will be made visible on the Gemba story in Gemba, including the status of the delegation and syncing process. The delegation status shows the status of the sync process of the Gemba story with the corresponding Jira issue. Delegation statuses can be pending, synced, syncing failed, unsynced, unknown Jira status, corrupted, unknown. An existing Jira issue in the specific Jira project a circle in Gemba is configured to sync with can be added directly to the circle by specifying its Jira issue key. This can be done following the same procedure for creating new stories in a Gemba, that is, as children of epics or in the inbox via right-click or a menu icon. Once the user inputs the Jira issue key and it can be verified, a Gemba will create a new Gemba story with the Jira issue summary as the title and the description as the Jira description displayed on the eventual story card. Just like delegated stories, a Gemba will ensure that it stays in sync with the corresponding Jira issue in Jira. A simple form for undelegating from Jira where a story is disconnected from the corresponding Jira issue that was created has been implemented. This can be done from the story menu in a Gemba and will result in the Jira issue summary being prefixed with undelegated. Once a story is delegated, its state, title, and Jira description will be kept in sync with that of the corresponding Jira issue.